Mio, we are in uncharted political territory in Japan. What sort of scenario are you working with? Are we looking at a minority government? Can Ishiba rope in coalition partners to form a working government? What does it mean for the markets and macro in Japan?
It's difficult to say. I think that's one of the reasons that the market also seems a little bit undecided in terms of what to do. As you mentioned, yesterday's strong move was probably due to people perhaps getting a bit too aggressive in terms of positioning for a large negative move on this outcome. But in terms of what happens going forward, it's still very unclear. As you mentioned, we are in uncharted territory, and although the LDP does still seem to be in the driver's seat in terms of needing perhaps just one partner to regain a majority, it's not really clear that any of the other parties are willing to join them. And to a certain extent, it actually looks like they hadn't necessarily thought through what the next step would be if the LDP actually lost a majority. Just given the dominance of the LDP, one of the sort of common beliefs is just that a lot of the other parties lack the execution skills to really govern. And in a lot of senses, they're just purely always operating as an opposition entity. And so, even the previous experience in, I think, 2009, when the LDP briefly lost power, it wasn't necessarily a shining example of, what the alternatives would be. And so it's not clear that any of the other parties really has a proper vision for how to take the country forward. And just given that, it looks like probably most of what's going to happen is a certain amount of horse trading in terms of the LDP, as you say, probably being a minority government and having to wheel and deal to sort of push through policy. But with that said, because the other parties don't have extremely strong divergent viewpoints in terms of how to take, the direction to take the country, we don't think it necessarily means massive changes to what will actually happen. We just think it'll probably be a lot slower. And in Japan, things already take quite a long time, so that's not necessarily a positive.